Hey, I'm Nick Williams, and you are watching Medicare Millionaire. In this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sales skills. And where I'm going to start is I was recently watching a documentary about Zig Ziglar, and it was interesting to find out that he was a failure for a good period of time. He was out of the top 5,000 salespeople in his company. This was Wherever. That's the company that sells cookware. It's a big name brand today, but back then they used to sell their goods door to door. So Zig Ziglar was a failure for 2 full years. He was not in the top 5,000. So that kind of resonates with a lot of people that are watching this, because you're probably not in the top 5,000, right? So you're not in that top 20%, the 80-20 rule. So you want to be in that 20% that is doing 80% of business. So Zig Ziglar was basically a failure. He had the IRS coming. They did the foreclose on his home, take his home from him. Everything was falling apart. And this is like considered one of the all-time great salespeople, and he became a great salesperson over time. So that the one point that should be taken from this is that you can get better and you can become great. You don't have to be great. So, but one thing that in this article, and I made a couple of notes, I want to reference these in this documentary, I should say, one thing that resonated with me is that he said, you cannot exceed your self-image. So if you feel bad about yourself, you're pretty much, now there's exceptions to every rule. So anything I ever say, there's always exceptions to every rule. But the point is you cannot exceed your self-image. If you feel bad about yourself, if you feel bad about the way you communicate, if you feel bad about the way you look, if you just have a poor self-image for any reason, you cannot exceed that image. So if you feel bad, you're probably going to perform bad. Let me get my notes up here again. Okay. So I only got a couple notes, but it's interesting that Zig Ziglar was a failure. But somebody said to him one day that you can be a great one. You can be a great one. This was one of the top people in the company. Again, this is Wherever cookware. So they said, Zig, you can be a great one. You can be a great one. And he believed it. And from that point forward, he excelled. He said, you know what? I can be. He just believed in himself. Now, let me bring this to selling Medicare insurance. First of all, you can't exceed your self-image. You have to be strong. I've been talking to some agents about this, and I've been talking to them about selling over the phone. You have to carry some mojo onto that phone. You've got to be comfortable. You can't be tight. You got to be relaxed. And that's the thing. If you can accept yourself, and I talk about self-awareness. If you can accept and understand your strengths and weaknesses. For example, I was talking to a person, an agent today about the technology. And I was like, you know what? You're going to fumble. You're going to fumble starting, because even if you think you got it down, you've never really done it. You've never really run it all the way through the completion of an application. So you're going to stumble. If you could just joke with your client saying, hey, hey, I'm terrible at this technology stuff. Bear with me, and say it in a laughing way, relaxed. Then your client would say, you know what? I'm terrible at it too. And so it's when you're tight, when you're tense, and you're trying to create this whole image that isn't real. Like, I got this. I know exactly what I'm doing. And you're like almost fighting with the whole process. That's when it becomes difficult. That's when you are now trying to act instead of just be. So you don't want to act. So you should be able to, and I said this a long time ago, I put this in a forum. I've actually said this in a video as well. I talked about saying anything that you want to say. You should be able to say anything you want to say. And I made a comment about telling somebody that their house smelled like an ashtray. and you know what? If the house smells like an ashtray, it smells like an ashtray. And they'll probably say, yeah, I know. I got to stop smoking. And you will probably endear yourself to them for being real and for speaking up. Now, rather than somebody who goes in there very mechanically and is suffocating in the cigarette smoke and is sweating. So if you could just be honest, if you are aware of your limitations, if you're aware of your strengths, it can be more relaxing. Here's another way to put this is you need to be able to do this and have a smile on your face. You need to be able to pick up that phone, start making phone calls, and be relaxed. You need to bring some mojo to this. And that's kind of sort of what I've been talking to people about because, all right, think of it this way. And I've got a bunch of people who are buying leads and they're spending thousands of dollars on leads. If you buy these leads and you call and you're all uptight and then you don't make a sale and then you get more uptight and then you don't make more sales, you don't make more sales. That's kind of like an odd way to put it, but you're making no sales. Say initially, it is going to start eating at you and you're going to get more and more stressed. And say if you've got 30 leads and you got nothing on the first 10, well, if you're new, you know what? You're probably going to have nothing. You need to accept that. You may, and God bless you if you do. Your enthusiasm can give you a couple sales. But if you have nothing, you can't start getting tense. It's like, you know what? I'm terrible at this. I'm going to get better, and you make the next call. That's how it has to be. You have to accept that, hey, I'm terrible at this, but you know what? I'm going to master it. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to win, and believe it and understand like maybe it's your communication skills. And, that's just the way it is. You just work and overcome it. And if you're honest, your true self is going to come through. You could say, I could see somebody saying to a person who's trying to explain it and say, you know what, I got terrible communication skills regarding this, but let me try to give it one more attempt to help you understand it. And the person probably would be sympathetic and give you a chance. They say that your first 30 seconds or 5 seconds even makes the entire conversation. But you know what? You can change everything at any time in the presentation. I worked with an agent and his name was George Deers and he was a great agent. And when things would get difficult, he would just stop and he'd say, wait a minute. And the people would look at him like, what? And he would say, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? And they would go, well, I don't know. It was just like a confusing moment, but it stopped. It reset everything. And he'd say, let me explain. And then it was almost like he could restart everything. And you can do that. And I'll take that to another level. Yes, you can be a great one. You can be successful, and you can be successful now. You can create success. You can change the direction of your career right now. But you've got to be, I will say, you got to be kind to yourself. You got to give yourself a break. You got to be easy on yourself. And you got to go forward with some mojo, with some how should I say, some confidence that I know what I'm doing. I have a weakness here. I have a weakness there. That's where the self-awareness comes in. I have a weakness here. I have a weakness there, but I'm strong there. I know my products. And that's where you can hang your hat initially. And then you build on the other things. And you can tell the client, you know what, I'm a little weaker here and here, ma'am, but I know my products. And you can tell them that. Now, that does bring me to one other point, and that's that you can get a canned presentation. And I say canned, it's usually something that's scripted, and you can develop that to your own voice. Even that's going to be a little stuffy in the beginning. So no matter what you do, no matter if you have this presentation that's scripted, very scripted, you're still going to stumble. So you still got to have that confidence, and you still have to have that acceptance that, hey, I'm going to screw up, and you still have to be able to be okay with screwing up. And so you just, again, I'll say it again, you have to be kind to yourself, and you have to relax, and you have to be able to do this with a smile on your face. If you're buying leads, it's thousands of dollars if you're doing direct mail, which I believe are your best leads right now. If you're doing that, then you better, before you spend thousands of dollars, you better be able to take a breath and say, I'm okay with this. I'm all right. I'm going to be good at this. And go in and every phone call, be able to say, I'm going to be good at this next call. I'm going to do a good job on this next call, and move forward and have that smile on your face. But that's it. I just wanted to touch base with you guys and give you a little bit of motivation. How's that? And have a wonderful day.